Nobody ever tells you what to do when the war stops in the middle of a heartbeat. 1 second, I'm kneeling in shattered marble with a plasma rifle digging into my shoulder, counting breaths like I was taught, slow in, slower out, trying not to bleed out through a crack in my armor. The next second, every gun in the throne hall powers down at the exact same time. Not staggered. Not one by one. All at once. Like the universe itself decided to hold its breath. That's when I knew something had gone very, very wrong. Or very right. At the time, I couldn't tell. The throne hall of the Zerathi Empire wasn't built for humans. That much was obvious the moment you walked in, assuming you survived long enough to walk. The ceiling stretched so high it vanished into shadow, like the inside of a cathedral designed by someone who hated gravity. The walls weren't walls so much as living metal, dark and glossy, shifting slightly as if they were breathing. And the throne, yeah? The throne wasn't just a chair. It was grown, not built, fused into the floor like the spine of some ancient beast. That's where she sat. The Alien Empress. The reason 12 star systems were on fire. The reason my unit was dead. The reason I was supposed to die next. Her name, if you could even call it that, was unpronounceable in any human language. Too many sharp sounds. Too many meanings packed into one word. Among ourselves, we just called her the Empress, usually followed by something unflattering and whispered. She didn't look like the Holovids. That was the first thing that messed me up. I'd expected something monstrous. Tentacles. Fangs. Extra eyes. Something that screamed aliens so loud you didn't need translators. Instead, she looked terrifying in a quieter way. Tall. Still. Wrapped in armor that shimmered like starlight frozen in place. Her face was smooth, almost human, but not quite. Eyes too bright, too aware, like they'd already seen the end of you and were just waiting for your body to catch up. And those eyes were locked on me. Not my squad. Not the fallen soldiers bleeding out across the floor. Me. I tried to stand. My legs didn't get the memo. I managed a half rise before gravity reminded me I'd taken a shard of something through the thigh. I went back down with a grunt, one knee hitting the floor hard enough to rattle my teeth. Real dignified. Exactly how you want to meet the ruler of half the known galaxy. Around me, Zerathi honor guards stood frozen. 8 of them. Each one could tear a human in half without breaking a sweat. Their weapons were lowered, not dropped, just inactive. Waiting. That scared me more than if they'd been aiming. Human soldier, the Empress said. Her voice didn't boom. It didn't echo. It didn't need to. It slid straight into my head, smooth and calm, like she'd always been there, and I was the one intruding. I swallowed. My mouth was dry enough to spark. Ma'am, I said, because apparently sarcasm and fear cancel each other out and leave you with military reflexes. A few of the guards twitched. Not toward me. Toward her. Like they were surprised I'd spoken at all. She tilted her head. Just a little. Studying me. You are injured, she said. Yeah, I replied. Happens a lot where I'm from. That wasn't bravery. That was shock talking. Real bravery had already bled out on the floor behind me. She didn't smile. I don't think her species smiled the way we do. But something in her expression softened, not warmth, exactly, but interest. You should be dead, she said. Flat. Factual. Been hearing that all day, I muttered. Silence followed. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. The kind that stretches until you start wondering if you've already died and this is some weird afterlife where you get judged by aliens with better armor. Then she stood. The room reacted instantly. Lights dimmed. The living metal of the walls stilled. Every guard dropped to one knee in perfect synchronization, their foreheads touching the floor. I did not drop to one knee. Mostly because I physically couldn't, but also because nobody had told me I was supposed to. The Empress descended the steps of the throne slowly, deliberately. Each step sent a faint vibration through the floor, like the ship itself was aware of her movement. She stopped a few feet in front of me. Up close, the differences were clearer. The way her eyes reflected too much light. The way her breathing didn't quite match the rhythm of a human's. The faint hum beneath her armor, like restrained power. She looked down at me. I looked up at her. This was it. Execution. Interrogation. Some poetic alien justice where I'd be made an example of. Instead, she asked, "Do you know why this war began?" I blinked. "Because your empire crossed into human-controlled space. That was the spark," she said. "Not the fire." I shrugged as much as you can while kneeling and bleeding. "Wars usually have a lot of reasons." Her gaze sharpened. "This one has only one." She turned away from me and gestured toward the far wall. The metal surface rippled, then shifted into a projection. Stars, planets, trade routes, casualty numbers ticking upward faster than my brain could process. Billions. Human colonies. Zerathi worlds. Neutral systems caught in between. "Your people fight because they believe they must," she said. "Mine fight because they were born to. Neither side knows how to stop." I stared at the numbers. At the red markers spreading like a disease. "And you brought me here," I said slowly. "To give a speech?" She turned back to me. "No," she said. "I brought you here because you are an anomaly." That got my attention. "You should have broken," she continued. "Every human who stands before me does. They beg. They curse. They plead for their species. I'm not great at begging," I said. And cursing seemed rude. One of the guards made a sound, half shock, half disbelief. The Empress didn't react. She crouched in front of me instead, lowering herself until we were eye level. The galaxy's deadliest ruler, inches from my face. "I have studied your kind," she said quietly. "You bond through suffering. Through shared loss. You follow those who endure." I didn't like where this was going. "You fought when retreat was logical," she continued. "You shielded your wounded instead of escaping. You did not break when faced with certainty of death." She paused. "The galaxy listens to strength," she said. "And right now, you are the loudest human voice left in this room." My heart started pounding for a whole new reason. "So here is the truth," she said, standing once more. "The war will not end through treaties. Or borders. Or surrender." The projection behind her shifted again. Two symbols appeared, one human, one Zerathi, intertwined in a way that made my stomach drop. "There is only one path left that both empires will accept." She looked down at me. And then she said it. "Marry me." The words hit harder than any explosion. For a second, I honestly thought I'd misheard. Like my translator had finally snapped under the stress. "I'm sorry," I said. "Could you repeat that?" Her eyes didn't leave mine. "Marry me," she said again. "And the war ends." The room felt smaller. Tighter. Like all the air had been sucked out. "And if I don't?" I asked, already knowing the answer. She didn't hesitate. "Then the war continues," she said calmly. "Until there is nothing left to fight over." No yelling. No threats. Just a statement of fact. I looked at the stars. At the numbers. At the billions of lives hanging on a decision nobody had ever trained me for. A human soldier. Bleeding on an alien floor. Asked to end a galactic war with a ring. And somehow, I knew she wasn't bluffing. You ever notice how time does weird things when you're about to ruin your own life? After she said it, "Marry me," everything slowed down. Not in the dramatic movie way where there's ringing in your ears and flashes of your childhood. No. It was worse. My brain sped up while the universe crawled. I became painfully aware of everything. The ache in my leg. The dried blood stiffening my sleeve. The quiet hum of the throne hall, like it was listening. And the fact that the most powerful being in the known galaxy was waiting for me to say something intelligent. Spoiler, I didn't. "You're serious," I said. It wasn't a question. I just needed to hear myself say it out loud. "Yes," the Empress replied. Still calm. Still controlled. Like she just asked me to pass the salt instead of proposing a political marriage that would rewrite history. I let out a short laugh before I could stop myself. Not because it was funny, because it was insane. You realize, I said slowly, I'm not a diplomat. I'm not royalty. I'm not even important back home. I was supposed to die in a corridor 3 decks ago. Her eyes flicked to my leg, then back to my face. Yet you did not, she said. That matters. Not to my chain of command, I muttered. That finally earned a reaction. Not anger. Not offense. Curiosity. You measure worth by hierarchy, she said. Titles. Rank. Birth. Yeah, I said. That's kind of our thing. She straightened slightly. Then your species is mistaken. The guards around us shifted again. Uneasy. I got the sense they were watching something unprecedented unfold, and had no idea how to react to it. Where I come from, she continued, leadership is proven, not inherited. Those who endure shape the future. I snorted. Trust me, endurance mostly just gets you more suffering. She tilted her head. And yet your kind still advances. Touché. I rubbed my face with my good hand, smearing a bit of ash across my cheek. Let's say, hypothetically, I agree. You really think both sides just stop fighting? Yes, she said immediately. That should have scared me more than it did. You underestimate human stubbornness, I said. We don't exactly love being told what to do, especially by an alien empress. You misunderstand, she replied. They will not be told. They will be shown. She turned, gesturing again, and the projection changed. This time it wasn't casualty numbers. It was faces. Human senators. Admirals. Corporate heads. People I recognized from briefings and propaganda feeds. Then Zarathi leaders appeared beside them, warlords, queens, priests, generals. All wars end the same way, she said. With a story both sides can accept. The images shifted again. A single symbol formed between the two empires. Union. A human who stood unbroken before the Empress, she said. Who chose peace over survival. And an Empress who chose union over annihilation. I stared at the image. At my face, projected larger than life. I didn't choose anything yet, I said quietly. No, she agreed. You have not. Her gaze softened again, not emotionally, but strategically. Like a chess player considering a risky move. You are afraid, she said. Well spotted, I replied. You threaten billions of people. I stated reality, she corrected. There is a difference. I clenched my jaw. You're asking me to sacrifice my life. Yes. Everything I am. Yes. My freedom. Yes. She didn't hesitate. Not once. But, she added, you would save more lives than any weapon ever could. That landed harder than I expected. Because soldiers are trained to die. We're trained to pull triggers. We're trained to obey. We are not trained to matter this much. I looked away from her. From the projection. From the weight of it all. My gaze drifted to the bodies on the floor, human and Zarathi mixed together in a mess of armor and blood. My squad. People who trusted me to watch their backs. You know what they'll say about me back home? I asked. Yes, she said. They'll say I sold out. I continued. That I betrayed humanity. That I slept my way to peace. They will, she agreed calmly. That made me snap my head back toward her. You're okay with that? Truth is rarely kind to those who change the world, she said. But it is still truth. I laughed again, sharper this time. You're really bad at selling this. She considered that. Perhaps. But I am not asking for affection. Or trust. She met my eyes. I am asking for resolve. Silence stretched between us. Not awkward. Heavy. You don't even know me, I said. I know enough, she replied. You stayed when retreat was available. You chose others over yourself. And despite fear, you still speak. I hesitated. You make it sound noble. It is, she said. That does not make it easy. No kidding. I exhaled slowly. What happens to me if I say yes? You live, she said. You will be honored, protected, bound by oath to me and my empire. And Earth? Earth lives, she said. Your people will rebuild. They will curse your name and teach it to their children. That was somehow worse than dying. And if I say no? I asked. She didn't answer right away. The projection behind her shifted again. Entire systems dimmed. Markers blinked out. Not erased, destroyed. When empires cannot stop, she said softly, they consume everything. I swallowed. Can I think about it? I asked. Her gaze sharpened. Time is not generous. How much? I pressed. She studied me for a long moment. Long enough that my legs started screaming again. 1 rotation, she said finally. By the next cycle, your answer must be given. And if I try to escape? I asked. One of the guards finally looked directly at me. The Empress didn't. You will not, she said. That wasn't arrogance. That was certainty. She turned away from me, her armor humming softly as she ascended the steps back toward the throne. The guards rose as one, weapons still inactive but very much present. As of this moment, she said, her voice echoing through the hall, hostilities are paused. Paused. Not ended. You will be given medical attention, she continued, and quarters befitting your station. My station? I muttered. She glanced back over her shoulder. Future consort, she said. The word hit me like a physical blow. Then she was gone, walls shifting, throne dissolving back into living metal, the hall slowly returning to motion. 2 guards approached me. Carefully. Almost respectfully. One of them extended a hand. I hesitated, then took it. As they lifted me to my feet, pain flared through my leg, grounding me in reality. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't a trick. I was a human soldier who had just been handed the fate of the galaxy. And I had 1 rotation to decide whether I was brave enough, or stupid enough, to say yes. They fixed my leg faster than any human med unit ever had. I don't mean better. I mean impossible. 1 minute I'm biting down on a strip of fabric, bracing for pain. The next, some Zarathi medic waves a humming device over my thigh, and the burning just shuts off. Like someone flipped a switch in my nerves. Bone knit itself back together under my skin. Muscle stopped screaming. Blood loss reversed like it had never happened. I stared at my leg afterward, flexing it slowly. No limp, I said. That's new. The medic didn't answer. Just gave me a look like of course it works, primitive, and moved on. They put me in quarters that were absurd. Huge ceilings. Soft light that adjusted when I squinted. Surfaces that changed temperature depending on where I sat. No bars. No guards inside the room. Just one doorway sealed with tech I didn't understand and a window that showed stars sliding past like nothing bad had ever happened in the universe. Which made it worse. Because when you're alone, patched up, and not actively dying, your brain finally gets its turn to hurt you. I paced. A lot. Back and forth, like movement alone might shake a decision loose. I tried to imagine explaining this to my commanding officer. Sir, I didn't get captured. I got engaged. Yeah. That'd go over real well. I sat down hard on the edge of what I assumed was a bed. It reshaped itself to support my weight, which was unsettling, and pressed my palms into my eyes. This wasn't hero stuff. Heroes get clear choices. Bad option versus good option. This was sacrifice versus extinction. And I hated that she knew it. Because the more I replayed the throne room in my head, the more I realized something uncomfortable. She hadn't manipulated me. She hadn't lied. She hadn't even pressured me. She just laid out the truth and trusted I wouldn't look away. That pissed me off more than threats ever could. A soft tone echoed through the room. Not an alarm. Not a warning. An announcement. "Human soldier," her voice said. I stiffened. "You spying on me now?" "No," she replied. "I am inviting you." The wall across from me rippled, then opened into a corridor bathed in dim blue light. "Inviting me where?" I asked. "To understand," she said. That should have been a red flag. I followed anyway. The ship was massive. Not just big, intentional. Every corridor curved gently, like it was designed to guide movement instead of forcing it. Zirathi moved through the halls with quiet efficiency. When they saw me, they didn't sneer. They didn't bow either. They watched. Some with curiosity. Some with suspicion. A few with outright hostility. Word had spread. Of course it had. "That's the human," I could practically hear them thinking. The one she chose. We entered a chamber that felt old. Not abandoned. Reverent. The walls were etched with symbols that pulsed faintly, telling stories without words. At the center floated a massive crystalline structure, rotating slowly, filled with shifting light. "What is this?" I asked. "The Archive of Continuance," the Empress said, stepping into view beside me. She wasn't wearing armor this time. That threw me. She looked simpler. Draped in layered fabric that shimmered softly instead of screaming power. Still unmistakably her. Still terrifying in her own way. But less like a weapon. "This is where our wars end," she continued. I frowned. "Doesn't look like a battlefield." "It is," she said. "Just not the kind you fight with weapons." She raised a hand, and the crystal flared. Images flooded the chamber. Zirathi history, cycles of expansion, conflict, collapse, rebirth. Again and again. Each war ending the same way, with domination or extinction. "No treaties?" I asked. "Treaties fail," she said. "Borders shift. Leaders die. Hatred outlives generations. So marriage is your solution?" I said skeptically. She met my gaze. "Union." The images shifted. Rare moments where two rival factions joined bloodlines. Shared rule. Shared future. Each time, the wars stopped. For centuries. I exhaled slowly. "You've done this before." "Yes," she said. "But never like this." That didn't reassure me. "Why a human?" I asked. "Why not someone from your own empire?" She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was quieter. "Because my people no longer believe peace can come from within," she said. "They see humanity as different." I snorted. "You've met us, right? They see your refusal to submit," she continued. "Your persistence despite loss. Your ability to fight, and still question why." She turned to face me fully. "They will accept a human consort because they fear you," she said. "And they respect you." That sat heavy in my chest. "And humans?" I asked. "They will hate me," she said calmly. "At first." "At first? You fear what conquers you," she said. "But you follow what protects you." I crossed my arms. "You sound real confident for someone asking another species to marry them." She studied me. "Are you mocking me?" "Coping," I replied. Something flickered across her expression. Not amusement. Something closer to understanding. "There is something else," she said. Of course there was. She gestured, and the images shifted again. This time I saw Earth. Not burning. Not invaded. Surrounded. Zirathi fleets positioned like silent guardians along the outer reaches of human space. "Under Union," she said, "your world becomes untouchable." My throat tightened. "No more raids," she continued. "No more proxy wars. No more acceptable losses." I stared at my homeworld hanging there in the projection, small and fragile. "You planned this," I said. "Yes," she admitted. For how long? Her pause was barely noticeable. Since the day I realized your species would never surrender, she said. I let out a shaky breath. So I was always just a piece on the board? She looked at me sharply. No. She stepped closer. You were the variable, she said. The unknown outcome. I searched her face for deception. Didn't find it. Do you understand what you're asking me to give up? I asked quietly. Yes. My life won't be mine anymore. No. I'll become a symbol instead of a person. Yes. I laughed bitterly. You're really not sugarcoating this. Because I respect you, she said. And because you deserve truth, not comfort. That did it. That cracked something in me. Because soldiers live on lies. Necessary ones. Pretty ones. Ones that make dying easier. And she wasn't giving me any. I turned away, staring at the crystal, at centuries of blood and silence and survival. How many people die if I walk away? I asked. She answered instantly. Eventually, she said. Everyone who matters. I closed my eyes. There it was. The final nail. You're a cruel empress, I said softly. Yes, she replied. And a merciful one. Silence settled between us again. Not tense this time. Waiting. I don't love you, I said. I do not require love, she said. Only commitment. I opened my eyes and looked at her. Then understand this, I said. If I do this, I'm not doing it for your empire. Or mine. For whom then? She asked. For the people who never got a choice, I said. Something shifted in her posture. A subtle change. Almost like relief. The cycle ends at dawn, she said. Your answer must be given before then. She turned to leave. At the doorway she paused. You asked what happens if you say yes? She said without looking back. Yes, I replied. You become the most dangerous human who has ever lived, she said. Then she was gone. I stood there alone, staring at the future spinning slowly inside a crystal older than my species. And for the first time since the war began, I knew what I was going to say. The funny thing about life-changing decisions? Once you make them, the panic shuts up. I didn't sleep. Not really. I lay there staring at the ceiling while the ship hummed around me, but my mind was calm in a way it hadn't been since before the war. No what-ifs. No backup plans. Just a straight line from who I was to what I had to become. By the time the guards came for me, I was ready. They didn't bind me. Didn't rush me. Just walked beside me through corridors that were already filling with Zarathi officials, commanders, priests, things I didn't have names for. Every eye tracked me as I passed. Not hatred. Not fear. Expectation. The throne hall was different in the morning cycle. Brighter. Awake. The living metal shimmered like it knew history was about to get rewritten. The Empress stood alone at the center. No throne this time. She didn't need it. I stopped a few steps away. No kneeling. No weapons. Just a human in borrowed clothes and a galaxy-sized problem. You've come, she said. Yeah, I replied. Felt rude not to. A ripple moved through the crowd. Some kind of Zarathi equivalent of murmuring. She studied my face carefully. Have you chosen? I took a breath. Deep. Steady. I did. The room went silent. So quiet I could hear my own heartbeat, loud and stupid and human. I won't pretend this is noble, I said. I'm not doing this because I want power. Or status. Or because I believe in destiny. She didn't interrupt. I'm doing it because I've seen what happens if I don't. I continued. Because I'm tired of watching good people die for bad reasons. Because someone has to be the bridge, and it might as well be the idiot already standing here. A few Zarathi guards stiffened. The Empress didn't look away. So, I finished, meeting her eyes. Yes. I'll marry you. For half a second, nothing happened. Then the galaxy exhaled. The walls pulsed with light. The symbols carved into the hall ignited one by one, cascading outward like a living signal. Somewhere deep in the ship, something ancient and vast acknowledged the choice. The Empress stepped forward. And for the first time since I'd met her, she bowed. Not deeply. Not submissively. Respectfully. Then let it be known, she said, her voice carrying far beyond the hall, that the cycle of war ends here. The hall erupted. Not cheers, Zarathi didn't do that, but a powerful resonance, like thousands of voices humming in agreement. Data feeds flared to life across the walls. Fleet commands standing down. Weapons powering off. Front lines going quiet. On Earth. On Zarathi worlds. Everywhere. I watched star systems shift from red to neutral to green. Billions of people who would never know my name, waking up alive the next day. The Empress turned to me and extended her hand. I hesitated for exactly 1 second. Then I took it. Her grip was firm. Warm. Real. This union will not be easy, she said quietly, just for me. I figured, I replied. Nothing worth doing ever is. Her eyes softened, not politically this time. Personally. You will be hated, she said. Already used to that. You will be feared. Also familiar. And you will be remembered, she finished. I looked out at the hall. At the future. At the weight of it all. Then let's make it worth remembering, I said. The ceremony was brief. Symbolic. No crowns. No rings, just an exchange of vows translated across 100 languages, broadcast to 2 civilizations that had spent years trying to wipe each other out. A human soldier and an alien empress. Standing together. When it was done, the war was officially over. Not paused. Over. Later, much later, I stood alone at a viewport, watching stars drift by. I thought about my squad. About Earth. About the life I'd buried without a grave. She joined me quietly. You regret it? She asked. I thought about it. No, I said. I miss who I was. But I don't regret who I had to become. She nodded. Then the union is strong. I glanced at her. You know this doesn't make me your subject. No, she agreed. It makes you my equal. That was the moment it really hit me. I wasn't a prisoner. I wasn't a weapon. I wasn't a sacrifice on an altar of politics. I was the line the war couldn't cross. And somewhere out there, billions of people were alive because one exhausted human soldier chose a future he never wanted, so they could have one at all. Not a bad trade. Not bad at all.